Tell me what democracy looks like. Tell me what community looks like. Tell me what justice looks like. Tell me what constituents look like. Who are you going to call? What's her number? 202-225-4611. Who are you going to call? What's her number? 202-225-4611. My goal is that you will all memorize that by the time this is over. Why do we march? Our future is affected if our world's not protected. Why do we speak up? Our future is affected if our world is not protected. Why do we care? Our future is affected if our world is not protected. Why do we write? Our future... Thank you very much for showing up. It's important. This world is your world, this world is my world. There are no boundaries in the water and sky world. They flow together, our responsibility. This world depends on you and me. Let's do it again. This world is your world. Sing it like you mean it. The world is my world. There are no boundaries in the water and sky world. They flow together, our responsibility. This world was made for you and me. Science has spoken, evidence has been clear. What greenhouse gases do in our atmosphere. The storms are raging, the climate's changing. Future depends on you and me. Here we go. This world is your world, this world is my world. There are no boundaries in the water and sky world. They flow together, our responsibility. This world is you and me. Here we go. Yet there are those who, with power entrusted, would take us backwards. We're so disgusted. There is no time for ignorance and godlessness. Future depends on you and me. This world is your world, this world is my world. There are no boundaries in the water and sky world. They flow together, our responsibility. Future world depends on you and me. Okay. Yeah, let our voices together raise here. Call for protection for the Earth's atmosphere. We must be leaders, not climate cheaters. Future depends on you and me. This world is your world, this world is my world. There are no boundaries in the water and sky world. They flow together, our responsibility. This world depends on you and me. Let's do it again. This world is your world, this world is my world. There are no boundaries in the water and sky world. They flow together, our responsibility. This world depends on you and me. This world depends on you and me. Nice job! Woo! See you after the march.
Okay.
Can you all hear me out there? Woo!
Thank you for all coming out today, although frankly I'm really not surprised that we have such a wonderful turnout. Many of you know that one of the things I talk about is that I'm the 7th generation of my family to reside here in the North Country. And that means that my ancestors did things with their hands. They eked out a living here. They lived off the land and they depended on their neighbors. And you know, that ethic, that sense of who we are is still what this North Country is all about. So when we have elected officials that are denying science, that don't understand how interdependent we all are and that one thing impacts the other, and they think that they can use empty rhetoric to somehow lull us into a situation where we just nod and go along with the craziness that they're proposing. I have faith because I'm from the North Country, and our way of life is to understand science, to use it responsibly, and to make sure that our world is ready for the next generation to take over. And so coming from the North Country, I know we're going to fight this back. We come from the tradition of leaving a legacy. That's who we are. We come from a generation that knows what we do today is absolutely going to impact what happens tomorrow. We are responsible people in the North Country. We may live in a rural, unpopulated area, but that doesn't mean we're stupid. We are not stupid. We are not going to be bulldozed. We are not going to be lulled into a sense of, well, somebody from a bigger city knows better than us. Actually, you know, I feel good living here in the North Country, but I really think we need to be out there going beyond our North Country boundaries to say, no! That's not what happens. We have to take the facts to the world. No, this is how things actually happen. This is science. We couldn't live in a better place. You know, they say we have this brain drain, that the best and the brightest continue to leave the North Country. Well, my God, I hope if you have people in your family that you know understand what it means to be a good neighbor, to understand our obligation to the future, wherever they are, on Facebook, by email, however you can reach them, remind them that they know the truth, they know the facts, and to please, wherever they have gone to, make sure they're educating the people that they are around. We know what our country needs. We know what our earth needs. We are a beautiful community that can have dairy farmers right next to college professors and the most cutting-edge research scientists. You know, we do not deny science here. That's why in a very tough place, we always succeed and we always will. And I am heartened by all of you standing here today, raising your voices. I know today is not the end of your advocacy. I know that you're going to continue on, and I'm going to stand shoulder to shoulder with you, arms together, until we take back our country, that we get all of these, what do we call it, the not real stuff? The stuff they're trying the alternate facts. Let's take the facts to them. I don't give up. I'm very competitive. I know you are too. Let's win this argument. Thank you all very much for coming.
Good afternoon. My name is Susan Powers, and it's my pleasure to introduce the next speaker. I've had the opportunity to know John Rosales, an associate professor of environmental studies, for many years. John has a very international perspective on climate change. He was born in Ecuador. He's gone to many of the IPCC Committee of Parties meetings, including Paris last year. His research is on climate change, so he comes about this as a scientist, but including the people side of the science. He's done a lot of work in Alaska, where his wife's family lives. They're suffering the immediate and current effects of high sea levels and strong winds on their community. And so John is one of those people who combines the science and the people. And so my pleasure to introduce John Rosales.
Wow, this is great to see you all here. Students, friends, neighbors. This is a critical time for climate change. Can you hear me? Yeah. Oh, that's better. Okay, I'll stand very close. This is a critical time for climate change and action on climate change. Just Thursday, the Trump administration met to decide whether to pull out of the Paris Agreement or not, and to continue denying climate change science. But we can't accept this. We cannot let this happen. That is why this rally and then the rally last weekend, the March for Science, were so critical. Science is under attack, and the scientists are pushing back, joining over 40,000 marchers last weekend. My family, my two sons right over here wearing a March for Science sign. We went to D.C. last weekend, and one of the chants that I liked, we'll see if you like it as we're marching out here around Potsdam. What do you want? Clean air. When do you want it? Before we die. Sometime soon, please. And many marched again to reaffirm what we know about climate change. So as the scientist with the mic here, I want to lay out what scientists, climate scientists know. And I think we can boil this down to 6 foundations. 6 things we know for sure. And within that, of course, there's uncertainty. Within that, of course, we need more research. But these 6 things we can walk away from here knowing. First of all, we know about the greenhouse effect. We know how it works. In fact, some of the theory on this was developed over 300 years ago. 300 years. This is not new. We cannot question this. The theory itself was established about 150 years ago, and now it's a basic principle taught in Eileen O'Donoghue's class and in Earth Sciences. It's an observed phenomenon with robust evidence, and it's easily reproducible in the lab. We know that for sure. That's number 1. Number 2 is we know greenhouse gases are rising in the atmosphere. We have direct measurements. If you trust your thermometers outside to tell you what to wear today, you can trust that we have direct measurements of the greenhouse gases rising in the atmosphere. We have proxy measurements going back from ice cores and sediment cores going back millions of years. The natural range for the last 800,000 years or so is between 180 and 300 parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere. What is it today? I know some of my students back here know it. What is it today? 407. The natural range of variability for the last 800,000 years was 180 to 300. Today it's 407. We're well outside that range. Thinking about this a little bit differently, how old are humans? About 200,000 years old. How old are humanoids? They're about 4 million years old, and that's how far back you have to get to 407. So we literally are living on a different planet that propelled our own species. Number 3, we know temperatures are rising. There's a very strong correlation between greenhouse gases and temperature. And now, in more recent studies, we can say it's causation. I was taught that you say it's correlation, now it's causation. Studies have shown increased atmospheric greenhouse gases, temperatures will go up. They rise up like a staircase with complex interactions with oceans and air circulation. But they rise up. The staircase is going up. 2016, 2015, 2014 were the warmest years on record, respectively. That's number 3. Number 4, we know there is a clear human forcing. We know where those greenhouse gases are coming from. They come from heat and electricity, they come from transportation, they come from industry, they come from deforestation. We know clearly where they come from. They come from fossil fuels, mainly, and also deforestation as far as their sources. Since 1970, greenhouse gases have risen 75%. Since 1970, 75%. That's equivalent, and now we're emitting about 50 billion tons a year. That's equivalent to about, I did the math yesterday, 50 billion tons of CO2 into the atmosphere is equivalent to 27 billion average cars, the weight of 27 billion average cars, or 490 billion of meat. You can do the math and figure out how much I weigh. Also rising like a staircase with dips. Also like greenhouse gases, the temperatures rising with dips and plateaus. For example, 2008 with the economic slowdown, the breakup of the Soviet Union in the 1990s, the oil shocks of the 1980s and the 1970s. There is a relationship between economic growth and our fetish with economic growth and climate change. We need to start asking those fundamental questions. And finally, number 5, sorry, we know the effects of all these are serious, growing, amplifying, and possibly irreversible. We know that polar bears are probably going to go extinct. We know that extreme weather is upon us and it's going to intensify. We know that all these impacts are going to be felt unequally around the planet. The distribution of impacts is highly, highly unequal. Some people are going to be suffering much more than others. This is going to cost a lot of money. That's why the insurance companies are very interested in climate change. And of course, we're very worried about the really large-scale collapses. You know about sea level rise, you know about droughts, you know about ocean circulations. One area of science that I'm following personally is the impact of ocean acidification on the formation and the levels of oxygen in the western Indian Ocean. Oxygen may be, the amount of oxygen in the atmosphere may now be at risk with climate change. Think about that for a minute. And finally, as we know, we must act now. This is certain. It's consensus science. Scientists have been saying this for a very long time. Bill McKinley, you probably said it at the first Earth Day. For at least 40, 50 years, scientists have been warning policymakers. I'd like to frame it this way for my students. Enough was known about climate change in the 1980s to call all of the presidents and prime ministers, all the leaders of the world together at the Earth Summit in 1992. There was enough known about climate change back then to act on it, to call all the leaders. So they've never come together. So that's why we are here, I think. The science of climate change makes it clear that we have to rally and march today. The science propels us to march today. While in D.C., my family visited the Jefferson Memorial along with other memorials, but this one was particularly poignant, I think, for our march today. Circling inside the rotunda of the memorial is a particularly fitting quote that Jefferson wrote to one of his friends in a letter, calling us to call out the climate change deniers, those that would supplant science with alternative facts. So inside that rotunda it reads, "I have sworn on the altar of God hostility against any form of tyranny over the mind of man." I'll read that again. "I have sworn on the altar of God hostility against any form of tyranny over the mind of man, because alternative facts will degrade our civilization." Alternative facts will degrade our civilization. So we can take solace that this is what we are supposed to do. This is what our founding father, at least Thomas Jefferson, thought we should be doing today. This is what we do in the United States. What we are doing today is what we do in the United States. Because Jefferson prods us to fight the tyranny over our minds. Thank you.
I want you to imagine a miracle happening tomorrow, and all around the world everybody says we're done. As of tomorrow, we are not going to burn another drop of fossil fuels or burn anything fossil fuels. And I want you to ask yourself, what do you think would start happening if we did that? So would temperatures continue to rise? Temperatures drop? Temperatures stay the same? What about the sea levels? The reality is, if we stop tomorrow on a dime, temperatures and sea levels continue rising for a significantly long time. That's the reality, because this is a delayed reaction. And what we are experiencing today is the results of yesterday's emissions, and we still have the results of today's emissions to go through. We are locked into those effects in the future. What we still have a choice over, however, is going past that. And that is why we need to say to our government, enough is enough with the false facts, or the false information. John mentioned that today we're up to around 407. I actually heard recently that we passed the 410 for a day, but we're averaging around 4.7, as John said. If we get up to 650, which is fairly likely, ask yourself how long you think it would take to get back down to the 350 parts per million, which is considered safe by climate scientists. 100 years? 1,000? Okay, well, we have a timeline above my head. And these actually started out all like a timeline should be, where all of them are uniformly apart. The wind has not cooperated. So you have to imagine that they're all about that far apart. Each one of them represents 100,000 years. And if we get up to 650 parts per million, where I'm pointing right now is 50,000, I'm sorry, these are 10,000 years between the strings. This is 50,000 years if we get up to 650 parts per million. That is a conservative estimate according to Kurt Steger from Paul Smith's. If we go for broke and go back to the 20th century like our government is planning and burn all the coal and all the fossil fuels and all the compressed natural gas and all of that, we're over here at 100,000 years. This is why climate scientists say that these effects are irreversible. We really need to keep fossil fuels in the ground, and we need to turn to a renewable society. We are going to march for that.
Democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Tell me what community looks like.
This is what community looks like.
Tell me what justice looks like.
This is what justice looks
Tell me
like.
what constituents look like.
This is what constituents look
Who are you
like.
gonna call?
Elise Stefanik,
What's her number?
202-225.
Who are you gonna call?
Elise Stefanik.
Yeah, everybody's across the street now.
What's her number?
202-225.
Sounded like perhaps they were going to try and get a vote up on it.
I don't know. I'm going back.
What's that? I will get the White House.
I told you all of you offices.
I was gonna like announce that Greg.
Same guy now. Yeah. I was justice. Justice.
When I say climate, you say justice. Climate, justice.
Protect our planet for us all.
Elise Stefanik, hear our call. Protect our planet for us all. Elise Stefanik. It slides onto the,
Where do you want it? In the ground. Kids who want a future are marching in this town. Let us hear you shout it. Keep it in the ground. What's it? Fossil fuels. In the ground.
She'll transfer.
We can be a safety valve.
Someone will ask you, you know, you have to defend.
There's a wolf pack They've been going by the time. Yeah. Well, we're leaving.
let it go. They were teaching them how to.
Hold up your signs. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hello, how are you today?
CO2 affects the ocean. Stop. Was made for you and me.
Johnny, I was strolling
This crowd has grown just from the other side to here. This is your old protest ground there, Rob. They're staying in front of the post office. Hello. Good. How are you?
Trying to find my spot here. They're way up ahead, so I joined this group. We're the secondary girl. I didn't feel like trying to run to the front. How old is
We didn't even march, right? And my son's
Because you want to see which way the majority is going. The place is extremely. This guy's. Dice is pretty moving.
No, not at all, right? So, you know, like some.
Two helicopters
People are the people who have made your legal incentives. Now you remember this people.
Well, there are. So everyone in Potsdam is here?
I think
So we are creating, not just here, but also in Syracuse and Plattsburgh and Glens Falls and Watertown. We are creating a network of New York action. It's called the New York Action Alert for activists with little time. And I know what you need. And so what we're going to be doing is putting out actions that are very simple. And the goal is that you will be able to read it, digest it, and do it inside of 5 minutes. So,